President Bola Tinubu's decision to pardon Maryam Sanda, that's convicted for killing her husband in 2017, this has sparked mixed reactions across Nigeria. Supporters view it as an act of compassion and rehabilitation, noting her reported remorse, good behavior in prison, and the need to reunite her with her children. They argue that the president's constitutional power of mercy is meant to balance justice with humanity. Critics, however, see this pardon as unjust and a blow to the rule of law, suggesting it reflects privilege and selective justice. They insist it dishonors the victim's family and sends a dangerous message that serious crimes can be excused under the banner of mercy. The debate now centers on a moral question. Where should society draw the line between justice and mercy? You can join the conversation on 02016-352013 or 09024163440 or tweet us at TVC Connect using the hashtag YourViewTVC. So you can join this conversation. So presidential pardons is not something that is just done in Nigeria. It's done all over the world. In fact, I had to research into some of the Greek history, where it started from, because I wanted to have like a precedence of where this started from. And I realized that sometimes, you know, I think there was, when they newly started, for instance, Greek history gave that about 6,000 petitions needed to have been written by members of the public before somebody is given a presidential pardon. And when they saw that many people would not get a presidential pardon, because how do you get 6,000 people to come and say, okay, oh, we want this person out? They had to move it to giving, you know, a leader at the time, or the king at the time, the emperor at the time, an authority to say, I can, without having many people writing a petition to support that, right? And then it moved from, sometimes they say it is out of mercy, other times it's because there's a sort of political interest at the end of that presidential pardon. And from, you know, country to country, somehow they have adopted that the president has the power to look around and say, okay, you have been of good behavior in prison, you have spent almost all your years that you're supposed to serve, and it's time to get this presidential pardon. But, you know, sometimes when it happens like that, the people on the receiving end, people who have been hurt by those criminals, for instance, in the prison getting that, you know, pardon, how do they feel? What sometimes they feel so aggrieved, it seems like nobody is paying attention to their emotional needs concerning the situation, but just because government wants to do, you know, pardon people and move on with the politics as it is. So I would like to hear the initial thoughts of the ladies when you saw that this particular woman was pardoned among other people at this time. What did you think about it?
Okay, remember when this lady's crime had come to light, and it was really heartbreaking to see how an innocent young man who was fighting for his marriage, he had said she had a temperament. She was, you know, he always had to manage her, balance it with his family, defend her, stand up for her. And his friends saw how gruesomely she had murdered him in the heat of an argument, because, you know, he suffered for being kind. And a lot of us, of course, stood on the side of justice. We thought it was unfair that she would do that and then pick up the phone and try to hide it and call her family to hide under the protection of an elite family, influential family. And now she's simply benefiting from that as well, because now the argument online is that her family had written on her remorse, her good behavior in prison, and pleaded for this prerogative of mercy to be extended to her. And they also pleaded on humanitarian grounds on the side of her kids. The same kids she would not mature enough to look out for. You know, so just, you know, if she was looking out for them, that's why in Africa they'll tell the woman, wait till you gain, when it's made them sack her. For those who were even victims of abuse. Wait till you gain, when you go in office, go tell them, why didn't you just divorce him and go? Wait till you gain, even to divorce and live an abusive marriage. Society blames women. So for this kind of woman who could not even prioritize and get help with that she needed for her temperament or whatever mental health problem she was dealing with that caused her to be such a vicious woman to this kind man. Now, you know, she's now getting that prerogative of mercy on that same humanitarian ground because of the kids. I do not fault a prerogative of mercy,
Okay.
and I do not fault the president exercising it the way he did. That's why it's a prerogative of mercy. Usually, after the Council of State has decided on those who are befitting of a prerogative of mercy, they do the list and send to the president. He appends his signature, and they are free. They are either free to go, absolved of their crimes, but they are not free of the guilt. And a prerogative of mercy does not clear the record, as opposed to what we feel. All those politicians that got under the president's Buhari's prerogative of mercy that got away. It's like they think that it was pencil that write it. It's eraser that wipe it, that kind of mentality. No, it was in the records. We're going to know you for the crimes you were convicted for. We're going to tell your kids of the crime their fathers was convicted for, and the prerogative of mercy that their father enjoyed. You know, because we're a forgiving nation. So I cannot fault what the president did. I'm not in that boat at all. If, God forbid, I'm in a place where I needed the prerogative of mercy, God forbid that they are going to use criticism to bully the person that will sign for me. So it's when you're the beneficiary, I can't fault that. But the thing is that in Maryam Sanda's case, it's difficult, it's tough for me because there was a lot of emotions for me at the time. Young girl. In fact, I felt like why somebody no slap sense into her head. When I saw how remorseful she was in court, how she was screaming, she didn't want to go to jail. But I felt she really remorseful because she sees the life she just snuffed out of a young man, what she has cost his family, his mother and father, or she just doesn't want to account for her crime. She seems like a child who never was held to account, who never faced consequences all her life. She grew up into an adult who didn't think there were consequences. And so that emotion is disturbing me. Did not let the thing to rest.
Yeah. But she was convicted in 2020 now. She's done 6
years of a life sentence for a murder, a gruesome, premeditated kind of murder. It didn't, you know, It didn't sit well. But I don't fault the president.
Okay.
Nima, you spoke like my mind a lot on this particular topic, this particular subject, because for me, before I talk about Miriam Sanda, there was something else you talked about, that a pardon does not erase guilt, and that is why for the Ogoni 9, people who are criticizing it are saying that they want an exoneration of the Ogoni 9, because giving them a pardon is assuming that they were guilty. So we'll see how that pardon works. But concerning Miriam Sanda, I too personally feel like she shouldn't have been given this pardon. Not that no human being deserves pardon. We all do. We are all, we are all flawed. But for me, I don't think that it sends the right message. I remember how emotional it was. It was so hard to know that she had, murdered her husband. And also the circumstances in which she did it. It showed that this was a man that was just willing to work with his wife. So, the kindness that you talked about. And then this was a woman who in the heat of whatever emotion she had, she killed her husband. And at the time she said that she went through his phones and realized that he was talking to other women and she couldn't take it anymore. But then the way she killed him, he had multiple stab wounds. My thought is, in the heat of the moment, when you stabbed him the first time and you saw blood, why it didn't stop you? You went over and over. You were ready for the consequences of whatever happened. You didn't care about the children. But during the trial, you would see she had her baby, she was feeding her baby, and at the time she finally was sentenced, the cry, you could hear that this was someone crying from the depth of her heart, So a part of me too just felt truly sorry for her and for the children that they had brought into the world. So they had lost their father through murder and they are now losing their mother forever. These children were orphaned as far as I'm concerned. So yes, that there's a possibility of being able to raise her children again. That is, that's good. But the family of the man, how would they feel about this? How would they feel that someone who gruesomely took their child's life has been given, is walking free? Right. As you know, Nigerians, we laugh about a lot of things. A lot of people, men are coming out and saying, this is not the first situation where we've had a woman gruesomely murder her husband and somehow got away with it. So are we passing a message that it's okay if a woman feels aggrieved to the point that she murders her husband and she can, that somehow the law would look into her case and let her go? So for me, I just don't feel that it sends the right message. Which I'm sure she's truly sorry, but there are some crimes that when you commit, your life will change forever. You have to face that for as long as you need to face it. And if it was a life sentence, maybe it should have been reduced instead of completely allowing her to go free. Yeah, that's how
we'll take a short break here. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Do stay with us. Welcome back. We're still discussing the presidential pardon that was given to Miriam Sanda. And Amaka is ready with her thoughts.
So with this particular issue, I feel drawn in different directions, and I can't help to be a bit emotional about this particular situation. Because first, my heart goes out to the family of the man that was murdered. Because, when something happens to someone you love, your family member, all you want is justice for them. And you can never be rational as to, any pardon or mercy towards that person. But, being a Christian and being a Catholic, there's something that they taught us growing up where they say there's big sin and there's small sin.
Okay.
For the longest time, my brain used to tell me that there's a big sin and there's a small sin. But as I matured to being an adult, I just feel that sin is sin. Who classified big sin and small sin? And that brings me to the point whereby we all know that Section 175, of the Constitution grants the president the power to, for prerogative mercy, and he chooses who he wants to choose. And anyhow, regardless of how we want to see life, luck goes a long way and plays a huge role in circumstances of our lives. Yes, and it's also important to have the backing of people, regardless of whatever it is that happens in life. Why am I saying this? Within the justice reform system, we know that if you're sentenced to if you go to prison, that you also have a right to petition to be to have reduced sentence, to be let out early due to good behavior. That is part of the justice reform system,
yes,
regardless of presidential pardon. And also having people, like you talked about the history of the Greeks, also having people that can step in and petition for you is also important. It's so funny how some things can happen to some people. People just say, this one a bad case, they forget you. Well, you can be lucky. You have people that will stand on that matter. 10 years, 20 years, they are pursuing this thing. They are writing petitions. They are talking to everybody. They are using all their connections. That's life. And that's why I say luck also plays a huge role. And we can see what happened. That even during the case, when this thing had happened, there had been a mention of mental health issues as regards this woman, where it was stated that, like by the friend of the husband, that the woman has a bit of mental issue, but the husband was covering that up. And not to excuse any bad behavior. We also saw that during the trial that she had a baby. So she was a new mother.
Nursing mother.
Yeah, nursing mother. And as women, we also know that some women suffer from postpartum depression after having a baby, and most times their hormones are more enraged than normal, right? So that doesn't excuse bad behavior. But regardless of that, or regardless of the pardon, and my mind still goes to the family of the person that has been hurt, because I always say something, it takes a bigger person to forgive a wrong. It's not easy. It's not easy to just forgive that someone just called that someone calls you stupid. To even forgive that is heavy. How much more taking a life? So that's why I said I'm drawn in different directions, but I don't fault the president for asserting his rights. And also the girl that was lucky to have a family that kept pushing and pushing for her, for her to be part of this, and maybe they kept a record of her good behavior and good deeds, so that when it was time, it was able to work in her favor. But I also believe that in situations that are so grievous, and I blame the justice system for a delay in executing death sentences. Because the reality is that if, let's say, after 2 years or 3 years, this sentence, the death sentence was executed, we will not be having this conversation.
We have a call on the line for Larry. Good morning, for Larry.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. Yes, there's this
We can't hear you.
thing that. Can you hear me? Hello.
Continue.
All right, thank you. There's this question that has been ringing in my head,
Okay.
and I would like to ask you, ladies, please: is there any man that has murdered his wife in prison in Nigeria as we speak?
Yes.
There are.
The banker wife, the Ibadan
Let
case.
it finish. Let it finish.
We have
If
precedent
there
on that.
is- If there is somebody, is there anyone that is part of this presidential pardon? I just, I think we are a biased country. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Oh,
So,
okay.
he was
Please, can you
asking,
respond to that? Yeah.
was asking if there was any man who had murdered his wife. Plenty day. And the one that have been convicted, some day.
He's asking how about
Whether they made the list, that's another matter.
Maybe next year's list.
Because Council of State did not see everybody. Do you know how many awaiting trial cases
That we
should be
have.
free by now? That the police had already botched this investigation, and I don't know why those people are still awaiting. Tope was, talking about her security, who had someone
Yes,
who
in the
was arrested
farm.
because someone had been electrocuted at her farm, who was
Yeah.
stealing
Yes.
cables, and they waited endlessly to even present the person in court. So there are several. I need to be careful here. There are several things not exactly right or perfect with our justice system.
Okay.
Because I hate to say that our justice system is flawed, and the one country is better. It's
No one
flawed
is
everywhere in
better.
the world.
It's the one they give to us that we're
Yeah,
using.
no.
But-
It's even flawed everywhere in the world.
Yes.
Everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because Biden had also done a prerogative of mercy when he was president, and the entire world criticized because of the list of people, and he did a very free one where he says people for drug-related offences were just
son was included.
in every that's where I will fall the Council of State, because why just 175 or 147 people that they now already
They can't give
Go on,
everybody
take your
now.
call.
Yes, we have a caller,
They can give everybody, why
Amaka
not?
from Port Harcourt. Where are we going to pick
Take your call.
them?
Take your call.
Amaka, are you there? Good morning, Amaka. Yeah. Continue. So you're asking.
As part of
Good morning.
Good morning.
I like what the last caller said.
Okay.
That is there any man that killed the wife that he has released? And hope is not man no man. We have some people that are poor, that are in the prison for one thing or the other. Then number two, hope is all around 36 states. Yes, like there is a man I know that worked for me that maybe used something to hit the uncle on his head. After 4 days, the uncle died.
Oh no.
The man is still in the prison. All people like that will be compensated, even though I'm not supporting those things.
Okay.
Okay? Hope is all over.
so,
Thank you very much.
Do like that again after releasing them.
yes.
Thank you, Amaka, for your
So,
contribution.
I was going to say that it can be done
Okay.
in a larger number, because you're
Yeah.
asking. Our prisons have over inmates that we have in Kirikiri alone is more than 5,000, and totally overutilize the capacity of the prisons. So we do need prison, decongestion in certain ways, and there are several measures that the justice system has put in place, from the magistrates exercising certain powers of their visit and all of that, to the president's prerogative of mercy, to the AG's attorney general's nolli prosecute powers for those who are already on trial. And these powers must be exercised in public interest. I don't know how this one is totally
Exercised.
public interest
Okay.
now. I don't know what the Council of State was looking at, but I would expect that the Council of State is not just waiting for influential elites connected families
To write
before they look at the list. I would like to read the list except for Maryam Sanda and another name that I read. I don't know most of the people on the list. That's Farouk Lawan. These two people for me are very privileged people. They're enjoying their privileges. That's what I see. So we'd really like to see the entire list and how somebody of a nobody benefited, who was truly of good behavior. If you enter the prison and ask the warders, you will find plenty people who are just remorseful. Plenty people who have accepted God and started to preach in prisons, who I would like to see on this list. But what we are discussing now are people on this list who are privileged. Maryam is privileged, and so is Farouk Lawan.
Okay, so we have another caller, Henry from Akure. Henry, are you there? I think our call is delayed today. Henry, are you there?
Yes.
Good morning.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Good morning. The topic you are dealing with, the emotional, and I believe that the president must have, and the Council of State or whosoever committee that sat on this matter will have investigated and find out the merit. Yes, because the number are so much, 170 something, you will still have some people that want you to ship in certain names. But for the lady in question, there's one thing we are not asking. It's possible that the family of the man and the family of the lady are united concerning the children.
That's a good
Maybe
point.
probably that's why they're pushing this
They may have resolved.
because I believe that those committee members, they are not also, they are human beings. They know what happened. And because this case is still fresh in our memory, that's why emotion is still high.
Yeah.
Assuming that spent like 10 years, 15 years, we'll have forgotten about it. All of us will be able to ask him, okay, let us leave her. But because it's still fresh, and I believe that maybe government also should put a caveat. If somebody is sentenced to life imprisonment, I think you should stay like 20 years before you can
getting the
think
pardon.
of prerogative of mercy. But whatever the president has done, there are people that are supposed to do the detailed work. We need to find out. Like drug bearer or whatever, kidnappers, those are the things we Nigerians want to hear. But let us find out details. Maybe some of them, remaining 5 months, 3 months, we don't know. But we are just talking.
We need all the details.
You are welcome.
Thank you so much, Henry. We'll be taking a short break here. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. So we are still talking about this presidential pardon, and we've gotten a lot of callers talk about it in different ways. And I had to quickly also look at other countries who are intentional about where they want their people to go, countries who want to do away with any form of corruption, and they have their styles. So let's take, for instance, China. According to their history, they've only had, in the history of China in so many years, they've only had 9 presidential pardons. There was a time for many, many years, there were no presidential pardons. And, it's subject to what the West started talking about them, that, no, you people have to set up, because they don't even have any panel that would, sit on it. There's nothing like that. So it's just on special occasions. Maybe the president just feels like, just gives that presidential pardon. So they've had only 9 in their history, right? And looking at that, I was asking myself, are we ripe for a presidential pardon in a country that we're still trying to curb crime? We're still trying to deter people from criminality. We're still trying to deter people from murder, from many of these things that are against morality. We're still trying to see how we can make our country better. And if we can stand and say, because some of the Asian countries that have been able to do away with any form of drug, like for instance Singapore, if they catch you with drug as small as this, that's the end. You are gone. There's no pardon anything in any coming years for you. Are we ripe for a presidential pardon because we want to curb certain things? Are we just accepting everything the West has given us?
So I'm so happy that you said this. Like it's like, wow, someone finally said it. So you can see how fast and how quick China has advanced.
Sweetheart, I'll take Mrs. Ibrahim and I'll come to you. Good morning, Mrs. Ibrahim. Are you there?
Good morning.
Good morning.
All thanks to producer wasting our credit to him.
Sorry about that.
You see, I'm a grandmother, an elderly woman in my late 50s. I quite feel for the families of the deceased. Our children nowadays, their temperament, those that are even complaining about her pardon, her pardon or no pardon, her children will still come after her. They will still come after her. By the time they grow up and they are being told that their mother killed or murdered their dad, God help her. So it's not like the president pardoned her, but who knows, her children might not pardon her tomorrow in future. So her children might not pardon her, no matter what. The children's family will still express their pain to the children, that's the grandchildren. So Maryam is still not free yet. That is just what I want to say.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Next time she will learn.
Thank you.
Yes. So back to what I was saying. So we can see how fast China has advanced, because for you to be a public officer in China, for you to be a politician, you have to think about it very well. I'm sure your family member won't call you for meeting to say, this is your bad character. Are you sure you want to take this position? Because if you do anyhow, you will see anyhow. They don't take nonsense.
Yeah, they don't.
And that's why they've gone so far. And I wish, and every time I always use that, as I say, I wish Nigeria that we can become that strict. But unfortunately,
at least for certain crimes.
But unfortunately, we are where we are, and we are dealing with ourselves. Because when you look at it, when you go to the prisons, there are so many people that have served more than if they were actually convicted, awaiting trial. They will have served. They've served like 5 times.
Over the sentences.
The sentences, right? There are people that they are wrongfully accused, right? They don't even have money to be able to appeal
get a good lawyer,
the convictions. So if you really want to talk about prerogative of mercy and the committee, like for me, I always say the president does not just wake up and then do something. There's always, we have the president and the presidency. And we have the team of people that it is their job and responsibility to ensure that fairness has been done, it's been transparent enough, and that they follow the certain policies and assessment that we're supposed to use to come to this particular conclusion. And then I know that it's easy for us to always say to say the parents or the family of the deceased, but we always also remember that this is not personal, because the crime that was committed against the state and not the family. As in, do you understand? So when they're also taking certain decisions, they're not putting certain things into consideration, because it's now seen as a mercy, because the case is against the state. So we need to also look at certain perspectives in terms of these decisions.
Let's take a call and then I come to you, ladies. Abdulrazak, are you there?
Hello?
Are you there, sir?
Hello?
We can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, I've been listening to your conversation regarding this Miriam Sanda case. I've had a lot of other versions, even this morning, that it's actually Maryam Sanda in-laws, that the parents of her dead husband that called for this.
Okay.
So that she'll be able to take care
of the children.
Yeah, I haven't said it, and I actually thought of it the first day I saw it. I had it in my mind. It could be in the in-laws that actually called for this, so that you can come and take care of it. But my own grounds with this is, can poor people equally do this thing? People are not connected, who don't know it, because the father of the late husband was one time chairman of PDP. Was PDP chairman, so he's a big political
leader. Her or him?
So can this kind of thing also, can poor people who are not connected, also have access to this kind of pardon? Okay, president, our daughter-in-law actually killed our son, but she has 3 young children
for us.
Can you grant her presidential pardon so that we are suffering taking care of the young ones that are very young, less than 1 or no more than 2, 3? Can they also have this kind of Thank you. That's just my own.
Yeah, thank you so much for that contribution. We'll take a short break here. When we come back, we'll take more phone calls and messages. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. We're still discussing the presidential pardon of Miriam Sanda. And,
So, you know, we've had a few people call in and say, you know, allude to how influential Miriam Sanda's family is, as well as her late husband's, and maybe that played a part in her being, you know, pardoned. That may very well be true, but, you know, we also need to understand that there are other ways that people get on this list. And so some people, you know, the inmates themselves write applications. Some people have their lawyers who are constantly on this case. There's some, the prison authorities, you know, recommend for them to, you know, be pardoned or, you know, be on this list. So there are different ways that you can get on the list. So it's not, the reason I'm saying is it's not just only rich people or influential people that get on the list. If we look through the 175, there are names that I have seen, names that we don't know them. You know, someone in Katsina, manslaughter, he has a reduced sentence. So there are different random people, regular average Nigerians that have gotten pardoned based on how they have behaved while while they were incarcerated. Some people have gone out of their way to even further their studies or learn something while they're there. It shows the remorse, rehabilitation has happened. Just so that we don't look at this solely as a list for those who have special privileges, you know. And secondly, we're talking about how many so far. I think the 175 is not enough. I think that would have been a longer, bigger list. And the reason I'm saying that is we have our prison system. We've always talked about it. They overflow. There are just too many people, you know, that have not even gone through the courts. They've just been arrested and then locked up for many reasons. We have read in the papers where different civil service organizations make it their job to go into these prisons, look at different cases, and they always tell us of so many people that have been wrongly convicted, not even properly convicted, who are in prisons, and then we have prisons that are packed full. So for me, I wish we had a list of those ones in particular who should have been pardoned. You know, if you do a proper investigation and then 175 is not enough. Now, for the special cases of this gruesome murder, you know, someone mentioned that it's because it's still very fresh in our minds, and that's why we find it hard to accept. And for me, I feel that that is why we should have been a little more careful with how this was addressed. Because apart from the punishment that this person is serving, it's also a way to serve as a deterrent for many people to come, you know, for many people, for the rest of Nigerians, that there are consequences for some actions. There are some things that you cannot get away from. There are some stories that we tell our children. You see, if you do this, this is how you end up. And then our children hear that maybe, no, maybe not really. Do you understand? So that's why, for me, I feel we could have had a longer list, especially of Nigerians, poor Nigerians, who have been locked up in prison for so long without proper conviction and no one to speak on their behalf.
Okay, so we have a caller on the line, Yakub. Good morning, Yakub.
Good morning, Bisi. And Sister Anima, good morning. Amaka and Miriam, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Bisi, for me, I don't want us to pick a lesson from this case. Especially my own advice go to married people. Don't allow anybody to kill you. Immediately you find out that you saw a red flag in your marriage, please pick a race. Whether you are a man, whether you are a woman, leave that marriage. Because if anything happens to you, this kind of a thing will happen. Even though if a president does not pardon this woman, do you know a governor of the state can just wake up one day and pardon her? And then the chief justice of the federation or of the state can just wake up one day and pardon her. And then now, according to one of the callers, says that the family of the deceased went ahead and said they don't want they are finding problems. It is a lie from the pit of hell. You know why? They have a lot of people that can cater for those children and their family. But this is something that will happen because as a man, you allow your wife to kill you. At the end of the day, they pardon her. As a woman, you allow your husband to kill you. At the end of the day, they pardon him. The life continues. The life continues.
True.
That is the message I'm passing through this morning. As a man, don't allow anybody to kill you. As a woman, don't allow anybody to kill you. Pick a race. from the marriage. If you say any red flag, thank you and God bless you guys.
Thank you. Very wise and sound advice. But there was something, I'll come to you, Nima. There was something Maryam raised which was very important. Said we should have had more people, being pardoned because there are so many people who, many of them wrongly accused, many of them good behavior. There are lots across our prisons who are still languishing there. Babies being born in prison and all of that. So the list should have been extended. But I want to say something that, first of all, presidential pardons are not fair. We cannot find any form of fair. It's like waking up to just offer somebody favor. I can choose to favor you and not favor her, and they will say, why you? So it's not fair. That's one. On the other hand, the responsibility for the choice of the 175 people, who should we put it on? There should have been a committee that reviewed.
There's a committee.
Council of State that reviewed it. So what were the metrics for reviewing it? We should know, because when we watch all these American movies, we see that they have parole hearing. Where you come, you present, your warder will say you have done this. They did all of that. So why did they choose to give only 175? If they had given more to the president, don't you think the president would have signed off on more?
So there are humans that are members of the Council of State. Whether or not there are rules that they must follow, there's always sentiments and biases sitting at that table. And
that's the problem.
The only problem I have, which is not avoidable as well, is the level of access that some of the beneficiaries will have to them.
Okay.
So the families of, whether it's the Sanders that put the appeal, whether it's the husband's family that put the appeal, is the access that is speaking for them. Farouk Lawan was it was a landmark case against, corruption. It was so landmark. I remember my late father then, I was still in an undergrad, and we used to gist about it, say, that man is going to go to prison. That's the end of his career. I felt and said, Nigeria, it's not possible. And I said, he will go to jail. And then he went to jail. My father said, how did you know? I said, because I know that there will be times that Nigeria must do differently. But he's now been pardoned. Does not wipe out his conviction.
Exactly.
It just, means that, he can then have certain privileges, like what an ex-convict could not access, he can access. That's what the prerogative of mercy gives him.
It cleans you off.
No, they clean anything. It doesn't clean your
guilt. It keeps your name.
Just gives you
a
form of a level
normal
of
access now.
Not full
It
exoneration.
gives you pardon
from your
consequences
of your crime. So
you go
an ex-convict, for instance, cannot
leave.
go back to politics, cannot do. But with a pardon, you can then try.
So your life is given back to you then.
Your life is given back to you, but not totally. So the history of it is still there. It's still a Google search
so it's
away.
not expunged from your
Yes, expunge is the word.
Yes.
So I do not think that the Council of State did this in the right public interest. You know why I said that? When you do it in the right public interest, justice will also be seen to have been done.
Yes.
The fact that there are certain criticisms around this. Remember that Oyo case of the woman who was in the Ministry of Justice Oyo State who had murdered her husband? And she was pardoned by the governor of Oyo State,
Yes.
We sat down like this and said, is it because she's a woman?
Yes.
We asked questions because we didn't think it was fair. But there's a way that she would have served the term. 6 years, it's quick now. People did there 30 years. They never see some. If it was at some point that where our memories of injustices have been washed away with time, we will not go sit down here, they vex. I cannot fault the presidency of prerogative of mercy because I know it is a privilege. God has, it's a way out that it has been put there. And you know why it was a way out? Maka was talking about China. I wanted to respond.
Before you respond on China, we have Izuagbe from Abuja. Good morning, Izuagbe.
This one is my brother.
Your person Izuagbe.
Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Izuagbe. I come from Abuja.
Okay, welcome, sir.
Presidential pardon, prerogative of mercy, section 175 of the Constitution gives the president the power to do what he has done.
Yes.
Section 165 and 175 people were pardoned. The magical one. But the issue here, just like Maryam said, the list could have been longer.
Yeah.
We realize that there are some people, juveniles, children, who are in jail today just because they stole a chicken. just because they pick pocket. And these children who are in those jails are waiting to become hardened. They are going through an extra way of being tutored into being hardened criminals. I believe the president should have looked at such people with very light offenses, and try to rehabilitate them and bring them out and put them through learning skills.
True.
As for Maryam Sanda, actually, the husband was somebody I knew very well. The weekend that man died, the following Monday, we were to have a business meeting.
Oh no.
For which somebody came all the way from London. So it was a very sad one. Just like everybody has said, in relationship, we should learn to understand the signpost and know when to say
goodbye.
Honestly, the most hard of all is the pardoning of drug dealers and kidnappers.
Okay.
What kind of message are we sending to the NDLA chairman who has been doing so much job, and those boys who are trying to hold down drug barons and drug addicts? Are we saying that we are rewarding crime? Sentencing is supposed to serve as a deterrent. The way it is now, people out there can go ahead and do whatever they want to do, knowing fully well that in the near future they could as well be pardoned. I don't think it is the best way to go. When we are looking at granting prerogative of mercy, they should look at light cases, people whose cases are very light.
Yeah, light cases. Thank you so much, Izwangwe. Thank you. Thank you for that. We'll take a short break. When we come back, Nima will complete her thoughts. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. Nima.
So, I was going to respond to Amaka when we talked about the prerogative of mercy and countries that don't have such legislated prerogative of mercy. And they look at the countries who have it. They are all colonies, former colonies of Britain, where the Queen was legislated to be able to do no wrong. The royals were not, it was impossible to see them as people who committed crimes.
They were seen as gods.
Yeah, any crime they committed, they could get away with it. And so they were the ones who now exercise prerogative of mercy to the titles and the people that they liked. Now that we have brought it into democracy, we are practicing it like this. And our own law, 170, I think it's 175 of this law.
Yeah.
Let me use the one I know, the 174. That's for the nulli prosequi says it must be exercised in public interest and in the interest of justice. Is, for instance, that, somebody in the course of self-defense is arrested for murder, tried for murder, and sentenced to, for murder. If you exercise prerogative of mercy, it will still be in the interest of justice because that person was forced to kill to protect someone else or themselves. Even though, in the course of a trial, they were not able to establish their innocence. Those are the criteria that you'll be expecting to hear. I am not saying that what they did for Sanda or the beneficiaries is wrong. I'm thinking, of course, I read some of them. 3 years for mining, some for
drugs and all of that.
But I'm thinking, why is it impossible to see the interest of justice
in this case?
In the case, we cannot understand, we cannot empathize. That is easy. But the interest, the public interest of this, the interest of justice of this should also be very visible, so that we don't end up, because the royals, the Queen and England were very abusive government. They went into people's countries, displaced people, stole from them, colonized them, and now we are copying a culture of theirs as in our laws now.
Yeah.
Yes. So we must now deviate from that method that they use theirs to do better. We must be seen and also to do better. We have a congested prison system.
Yes, we do.
In our country, and forgive me if I am wrong, it is not rehabilitating as we thought when we amended our laws that it's supposed to. A lot of people are there awaiting trial and depressed. They've even served the sentence of the crime for which they are suspected. They've been arrested.
So Nima, you are advocating an overhaul of our constitution.
A total of our prisons, of our accused, of our convicts. So that we don't just end up with 75 people and people that we suspected have been arrested and sentenced for 3 years for mining. Because you know, say, as Miriam talked now, I see the list well. Mining, drugs, fraud. Yes, they were convicted, most of them, for these offenses, and clemency was given to some for this kind of offenses. This is when we must be looking deeper for other serious cases.
Intentional about
that when it comes to public light, we will see public interest and we will rest and say that that's the purpose of the Council of State. So that the president is not signing something and opposition sees something to talk.
I get you. Before I come to Amaka, we'll have Hassan on the line. Hassan from Lekki, good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Please, whatsoever we are going to do, let us see that justice is done.
Okay.
Because this issue of Maryam and other people that were granted this mercy, I don't know where it is coming from. Because what I'm seeing here, I'm seeing a president not being thorough before appending his signature or approval of prerogative or mercy. Because somebody was killed, and such a person is a son of somebody, is a junior brother to somebody, is a family member to somebody. Then they now came after 5 years because their family are influential, because we saw the trial. We saw how the mother came up with a lot of things, trying to play around with our intelligence. And now, we saw what even play out now, that she keep on pressurizing up to the extent of getting that prerogative of mercy for her daughter. Her daughter will be working free, quite okay. But you think that she's free? She's not free. And we're encouraging criminality in one way or the other, not only her. Look at what happened to this one from Kano. Lawan. Look at people like Ibori and Co. We are encouraging criminality. We are not fighting criminality. We are encouraging it. Just be influential and just go there 2-3 years, you will have prerogative of mercy and get out from it. You see, we don't think we can fight criminality by encouraging criminality. We don't do it. It's wrong. You cannot kill. You know, and be hiding under influence of drugs, under this, under that. And people will be writing for you. You understand? To get scot-free. You are encouraging people to begin to take laws into their hands. People will now begin to rethink that, look, since this is a big man, we will take laws into our hands. And Mr. President must sit up. I'm talking personally to my man, Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I voted for him. I campaigned for him. Don't allow people to be cooking up books for you to be attending your signature, because people will end up calling your name, not their names. We saw what happened during Buhari's time, when there was this even accusation of bribery and corruption in this prerogative of mercy. So as a president, the buck stop on your table. Please be thorough. Look at it. Look at the people
before appending the signature.
Append your signature.
Thank you so much, Hassan. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So before I make my point, I wanted to correct something. Like Nima, the prerogative of mercy within the monarchy is not absolute, because we had back in the day the monarchy couldn't just give prerogative mercy. It had to go through the church, through the Pope, and through the church, and everything. So and then they had so many monarchies that were beheaded. They had the ones that were banished and all their lands and titles taken from them. But what I want to say is that, you know, it's easy to talk about Maryam Sanda because we know the case that she killed her husband. let's talk about issues of all these kidnappers that are killing multiple people, drug lords, the terrorists.
So let me pause you, Amaka. We'll be cutting off to join a live broadcast of the House of Reps Committee on Petroleum Downstream. It's an opening ceremony. Viewers can continue watching your view by scanning the QR code on the screen right now. Thank you.
So we need to also, so I agree with what the caller had said, that, you know, what is the, because part of what they said that was the assessment criteria was old age, people that were reformed, that had gone through the open university, things like that, right? But then I'm wondering, how do these terrorist people, kidnappers that have killed multiple people and all this
become old?
Drug dealers, the ones that are old, are they the ones that were pardoned? Because if not,
maybe they showed that they were remorseful.
Because these are the issues. Because
but let me take this comment from Otunba Benga. He says, "Good morning, ladies. On this presidential pardon, my take is that justice demands accountability. Mercy offers compassion. In a murder case such as that of Maryam Sanda, justice must come first. Life taken deserves consequence, and family of the dead deserve justice. A presidential pardon should be rare, granted only when guilt is acknowledged, repentance proven, and society's trust preserved. Justice without mercy is harsh. Mercy without justice is dangerous. The Council of State and the President must have thought it through before granting the pardon. May God heal our land."
Amen. We have to go. I think we've touched on everything. There was something a caller said which I found important. It says people with lighter offenses should be considered for pardons like this, and I agree absolutely. The people also need to see the public interest of justice. It was Nima that rightly mentioned that. And you know, the advice is that no matter what the president gets on its table, before he appends his signature, just like Hassan has said, he must be very careful that he's, you know, doing it, because at the end of the day, it is his name that people will call. Let your good not be evil spoken of. And, you know, to the family members of the people who are hurting, we still appeal that God will give them the grace to forgive and let's go. It's happened, it's happened. No presidential pardon all over the world would ever satisfy everybody. But we also need to be very careful. And then we can start looking at, do we need a presidential pardon in our country for where we want to go to?
The English pardon those people who came and stole from us in Africa.
Yeah,
they pardoned them. They are mercenaries, they sent into the world.
Thank you so much, ladies, for your contributions.
Whether they their business.
That's all we can take on the show today. Join us tomorrow for another interesting show. Bye-bye now.